We have now arrived in Turkey, and one of our first locations to visit is a waterfall in Mersin province, but we haven't been very successful so far. For some reason we are in the middle of a field, even though we're supposed to be in a location looking something more like this. Finally, after getting a little bit lost on the way, we have arrived, and it's quite an impressive sight. I haven't photographed at waterfalls so much before, one reason being that I live in a quite flat area which naturally doesn't have high waterfalls, but also because I don't find photos of waterfalls very interesting. So it's not a type of location I've actively been seeking even when going abroad, but why not give it a try? One common approach to photographing at waterfalls is to use a tripod and ND filters to get a long exposure time which blurs the water and creates a sense of movement, instead of creating a look of frozen water when using a fast shutter speed. I had neither with me though, and actually don't even have an ND filter, but I noticed you don't necessarily need one to avoid the frozen water look. This waterfall is quite high, which means the water picks up some speed. I mean, even with a shutter speed of 100 of a second, the water blurs a bit, and in the photo the water drops show up as short lines. I further experimented by using the lens stabilizer and 1/25 of a second, and it provided much more blur while still indicating movement. So much more blur than that I wouldn't actually need. A waterfall doesn't have to be portrayed such as it appears, it can be just a part that you're focusing on and find interesting. Now, my photos of this location maybe aren't that special or different, but I tried to experiment with what I had. If I had thought I needed a tripod and an ND filter to even try, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere at all. Well, maybe that is enough about photography. So what about the location itself? Would I recommend anyone to visit this location? Well, as I mentioned, I haven't been to that many waterfalls. I've been to some in Iceland, but that is a long time ago, even before I was into photography. One thing I've noticed is that in photos, waterfalls don't seem nearly as impressive as in real life. The force and the sound of the masses of falling water are difficult to translate to a photo. Also, the size of a waterfall might not appear very true in a photo. When I got here, I was surprised at how huge it actually was compared to the photos I had seen before. So it is definitely best to see these kind of locations in real life, I think. One should also take the surroundings into consideration. The location between the mountains is quite impressive, and I especially like the overgrown areas above the fall itself. So definitely give it a visit if you happen to be in the area. But be sure to take the right road not to get lost like we did. Thank you for watching, and in the next video I will continue with more interesting locations in Turkey.